UFC 322 just happened last night. I forgot my note card, so this is all off the dome today. I wanted to do a recap, and I actually wanted to do a live, but because I have some things going on today, I can't hop on the computer and talk with y'all about that event. But super fun, man. First up, let's talk about Basangur Susurkaev. This is the dude that I did a video on. Again, I'm gonna tag it right here because people need to go watch this, especially if you're collecting cards, because he, in my opinion, is, as of right now, the most hyped prospect that has a debut tops patch. And he wore it in the octagon after his initial debut fight was a win. He gets another win. He looks decent. He is very young. I want to say he's 24. Again, I don't have my notes on me, so a lot of these ages are going to be kind of just from what I can remember. But I want to say he's only 24, 25 years old. That is extremely young. There's a lot of time to improve. Now, I do think as he continues to go up the rankings and he fights people that have better, accolades, that are more accomplished, that are more well-rounded, I do think that he may have some difficulties with those opponents. He is pretty slick. He does likes to stand up. He didn't really show his grappling much in this fight, which I thought was interesting. The last fight, he looked great in his grappling and really used that to secure the finish. But definitely a guy to keep your eye on, and has another win, which is great for card prices. Are we going to get him in 2026 products? I think we probably will, and I do think he's going to be a pretty good chase. All right, next up, Wellmaker. The 48-hour opponent change, the analysts last night and the announcers were talking about how it's not necessarily good for Ethyn Ewing, who we're going to talk about in a second. But it's also not good for Wellmaker. I hate when they say that. You're preparing for a guy, a stylistic matchup. You have tape that you're watching. You're preparing a game plan. All that gets thrown out the window. You have to change on 48 hours. That affects both people. Not to mention, he was probably already deep into his weight cut whenever that came in. And then they're like, hey, actually, let's do it at 145. So while, it was actually a banger of a fight. That was one of the better fights of the night. It was back and forth. Both guys put on really good performances. But Wellmaker drops that one, man. A really close decision. Fun fight, but he drops it. He was, supposed to be a really big chase in the future. And also, I forgot to mention, Susurkaev and Wellmaker both have autographed cards with championship collections. With Champions collections, I did an interview with them a few months ago. They have on-card autos that they sent to the fighters, custom cards that they have done. So if you do want to get a card from them and you don't want to wait until 2026, you can look for those. There's a couple of them online on eBay. They do shows on, the Whatnot store and all that. So go check that out. But Wellmaker gets the loss there. And is he still going to be a huge chase in 2026? In my opinion, I think he probably will be. He looks talented. He also got hit with some pretty big shots and did not look too phased. He hung in the fight against a really good opponent, man. And talking about a guy that really just made, the most out of his opportunity. Ethyn Ewing. Is his name Ewing or Ewing? Maybe it's Ewing, like Patrick Ewing. But dude really put on a good performance and looked very good on the feet. I was really impressed with his combinations that he was throwing. I mean, Wellmaker obviously had a little bit of the power advantage and rocked him a few times, but Ewing really had the combination advantage and was able to punch in bunches and just really gave him fits throughout the night. But another debut patch guy, Ethyn Ewing, debut patch guy. He was wearing the debut patch in the octagon last night. I love these debut patches, man. Sweat, blood. He's on the mic giving his post-fight speech, which was pretty good as well. Dude's got some skills on the mic. And right there on his right little shoulder, on his right arm, was the debut patch. And I'm hyped. He's a guy who has a debut patch, so keep a lookout for Ethyn Ewing. And Nickal is back, baby. He is back, and he is back in emphatic fashion with, a super clean head kick. Shades of Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman with that combination, that southpaw stance, left hand, and then follow it with the left leg. Really nice combination. He absolutely flatlines Rodolfo Vieira. And this is something that is tough to do with Bo because his hands actually looked pretty solid. He looked like he was aggressive. He looked pretty snappy. He looked pretty athletic. He had, a couple big takedowns as well. But with the opponent being Rodolfo Vieira, he was stuck in the mud. He did not show any elusiveness, any movement. He really did not do much throughout the entirety of the fight. There at the beginning, he was kind of looked like he was in it, and then he just kind of phased out and was just there to survive, in my opinion. So kind of tough to judge Bo in this performance, but he did what he was supposed to do, and he did it emphatically. Great finish, entertaining fight as well. And up until the finish, it did kind of look like he was not necessarily toying with his opponent, but he wasn't looking to finish. And then he threw that and just starched him and put his lights out, man. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the pendulum swing whenever we're talking about prospecting, right? So you have Bo Nickal is astronomical pricing. He's through the roof. He's already got 3 or 4 championships baked into his pricing, right? Then he loses. We get the pendulum swing back, and did it swing too far back? I had not been looking at his prices, but there's definitely a chance that his prices had swung too far back. So, what we always talk about on the channel, buying off a loss on people that you believe in is a good thing. And if you did buy in on that Bo Nickal loss, now you're looking like a genius, right? It is a gamble, but he looked really good last night. And I want to say he is only 29 years old. And I think that's important because when we're talking about these guys, right, like a lot of these up-and-coming guys are very, very young. A lot of people, 24, 25, Bo's 29. Generally, we see that 35-year-old age is kind of like the limit with guys, right? Every now and then you'll get somebody who is still able to fight at the highest level, but you have to be like in a title position or in a title shot at 35 in order to really like maximize your career potential. And even better if you can get that in your low 30s or even below, right? But I do think that is incredibly important, and it tells me that Bo still has 4 or 5 years, potentially maybe even 6, to continue to improve and continue to work in that 185 division. Now, one thing that I've always thought with Bo, just quickly before we move on, is I don't know if he has the physicality to fight at 185. Those guys are monstrous, man. You see a lot of people now walking around 6'3", 6'4", very, very big. We have, thoughts of Yuri potentially coming down to 185, who would be like an absolutely massive middleweight. And I just don't know if he has the physicality necessary to really hang with those guys at 185. We saw him have real big problems with RDR and his physicality, who's also a monstrous guy, right? But that is just something, that I wanted to think about and talk about. And hopefully you guys buy in on the pendulum swing of Bo Nickal. I would not, now those prices are probably going to go right back to where they were, so I'd be careful if you're trying to buy back in on Bo. But interesting to see him get the win and a really, really big finish. All right, and I don't even want to talk about it, dude. I am sad. I saw Leon Edwards get absolutely blasted last night from Carlos Prates, and I think he's done, man. As a fan of his, I hope he just either takes fun fights for money or just retires, because he definitely does not have what it takes to be in the top of the division, in the top of the heap. And this is what we see, and it's a natural progression of the sport, right? People have their moment, they're on top, they get 1 loss, close fight, they get 2 losses, and then things start to go downhill. And he looked pretty good in the first round, definitely the more well-rounded guy, but when you're standing with a killer like Prates, that's what happens, right? And we see 2025 rookie Carlos Prates once again put on a great performance, man. Absolutely starched him, and he looked huge in that fight. Leon is a very big 170. He's one of the bigger guys in that weight class, 6'2", 170, pretty well muscled. And Prates looked really big, and that was honestly the first fight that I saw of his where he looked that big, and it made me think, I don't know what was it, how my eyes were. My eyes were just more in tune last night or what, but I did not realize how rangy and how big he was, and maybe he put on a little bit of size. But yeah, he looked great, man. And now it's a real weird conundrum where what do you do at 170, right? And we're going to talk about that because there was a couple other people in the welterweight class who fought last night as well. But do you just vault him right into a title shot? I mean, honestly, I think Islam would murder him on the ground, so I would say no. But he's a really entertaining guy, and he's got a ton of cards out there right now, and he's going to continue to have cards come out as we get Stadium Club, as we get 25 Royalty. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. Really entertaining guy, fun guy too. I mean, he's great on the mic. Seems like a very likable person. So I could definitely see Carlos Prates cards continue to surge and more people continuing to collect him as we keep going in the year and as more products come out. And another 170 matchup. This was a big one, right? A lot of people were saying this was potentially, the next title shot. Whoever wins this could get a title shot. Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. And dude, this was a crazy one because nowhere in my mind did I think Sean Brady's not going to try a takedown against Michael Morales. I mean, he's huge. He throws bombs. We're talking about big 170s. Like, he is massive, dude. He is very, very, like, muscular for the weight class. I'm curious to know what he weighs in at Fight Night because he looked huge last night. Now, Sean Brady's not necessarily a tall guy, but he is a pretty big guy, and Michael Morales just dwarfed him last night. But, yeah, he came in and was just throwing haymakers pretty much immediately and just binked Sean Brady all around the octagon. It honestly was not even close. It was basically over as soon as it started. And dude, what do you do with Michael? This weight class is insane right now. There's so many good guys. There are so many fun matchups. What do you do with the top guys? And we also have Ilia Topuria walking around, who is probably going to vie for a title shot if he wins again at 155. So what do you guys want to see in the comments? Do you want to see Michael Morales? Do you want to see Prates? Personally, I kind of would like to see Michael Morales versus Prates and have that be the title eliminator. Whoever wins that gets the title shot. But yeah, man, really fun fight. We had a bunch of good finishes last night, a bunch of KOs, and just really this 170 weight class is continuing to pick up steam. Michael Morales in 2023, he was a rookie, so he's got a lot of cards floating out there. 2023 Prism, if you're a Panini guy, definitely you could pick up some of those. He was relatively cheap too, and I'm sure his prices are just skyrocketing at this point. They were slowly kind of trending up. I did kind of a rookie radar video on him like a long time ago, and he was a really interesting prospect because of his age as well, right? And we talked about a couple young guys. Basangur Susurkaev is 24. Ethyn Ewing is 27, I believe. Michael Morales is in that range as well. He's like 26. Bo Nickal's like 29. So we have a lot of these people that are relatively young that are already up at the, near the top of the rankings when you're talking about Morales. And that is very, very beneficial for the career, for the longevity, and for them potentially having a really long title run. So when you're talking about prospecting, age is a huge factor, and Michael Morales definitely fits perfectly in that age group that you'd want him to see and where you would want to see him already in his career. Now, as far as the future goes, I think it would be kind of a tough matchup for him against Islam, but he is absolutely massive, right? So if he does potentially get the title shot and Islam is still there at 170, he might have the physicality necessary to keep him off him. And that kind of striker who just kind of goes wild, I do think is the type of striker that is going to potentially give, somebody like Islam problems, because you can't try and out tactic Islam. He's probably one of the smartest fighters we've ever seen. He imposes his game plan perfectly in almost everyone that we've ever seen him face. But if you're a guy that just kind of goes wild, right, like Morales did last night, you kind of walk forward and just throw bombs, that may be the recipe to do something against him in the future. We also had 2 title fights, right? And we had 2 people doing double champ or trying to do double champ last night. And it was we had Weili versus Bullet, and we basically had 2 tales, 2 opposite stories last night. We had Weili versus Bullet. Weili was way too small, man. As soon as she got in the cage, I was like, oh, this is a huge size differential. Whenever they were doing the weigh-ins and stuff, they looked very similar to me, and I was like, oh, Weili's going to be stronger. She's going to be able to out muscle Bullet. That was not the case when they were in there. It was very obvious that not only was Schevchenko noticeably taller, she was also thicker and more well-built. And as soon as they got any type of clinch, what Weili is usually able to do is to be the better athlete and ragdoll big sister people. And that is exactly what Schevchenko did all night. Weili had no answer for her at all. And really a one-sided, lopsided performance. But honestly, Weili didn't take too much damage. It was kind of a lot of control time. She did take some big shots, but it's not like she got, super rocked or got cut up. So at least that is good for maybe her potential run at her natural weight class. Now, what's next for Bullet? There's a bunch of people waiting. Honestly, I really was hoping that Weili would win this just to freshen the matchups up. Maybe they run that back. Maybe we got some more life in the division. But, I mean, there's still some younger people. Natalia Cristina de Silva's in that division. I would have to imagine she's the next one up for that title shot against Bullet. But she looked really good, really well-rounded, and really just kind of cemented herself as, you know, well, I guess that's a question to be had. What did she gain from this? Because, you know, this is always the conundrum whenever you have people coming up to try and get another belt, right? Is like, if you were the person coming up a weight class, you are expected to lose almost always, right? I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the game. You should be the smaller person in theory. And I mean, it really just showed, I don't know if there was, honestly, I don't know if there was that much of a skill differential. To me, it was so much of it was just Valentina was so much bigger, so much stronger, that if you're equally skilled, the person that is way bigger, way stronger is going to make it look pretty easy, right? Like she did last night. So I don't really know how much of it is a skill gap and how much of it was just her being one step ahead, way longer, and noticeably stronger in that fight. But we had the other tale last night, which is Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena, which was basically Islam was the same size, if not bigger, than JDM, which is crazy, right? That he fought at a weight class 15 pounds lower and was able to perform, and then comes up and is still like just as big as JDM, who's not a small guy. Now, JDM's not a huge 170, but like he's not a small guy. He should be there, and he is very strong and very big, and it really has a good, you know, a decent frame for that weight class. He's not necessarily a shorter guy. He's not taller either. He's kind of somewhere in the middle, well muscled. But yeah, Islam looked just as big, if not bigger, than JDM, and absolutely controlled him and dominated him basically the whole night. I've already seen this narrative floating around, and I knew this was going to happen, and I don't even understand what these people are watching. And the narrative already is that Islam just hugged him the whole night. Like, bro, Islam outstruck. These are the list of people Islam has outstruck already. Volkanovski, we've got Oliveira, we've got Dustin Poirier, and now Jack Della Maddalena. There was maybe 2 exchanges the entire fight that Jack Della Maddalena won, and Islam won pretty much every other single exchange in that fight. He was getting tore up on the feet, and then whenever Islam was getting the better of the feet and he decided, hey, I'm beating you up on the feet, but like, let me just take you down, he did. Like, it was insane, man. And this was not a Khamzat Chimaev DDP situation. This was Islam taking him down. He was hitting him with ground and pound. He was hunting for submissions. To me, he was pretty busy. It's not like he was just holding him. But the narrative of like the ball hugging Dagestani, like it's not true with Islam Makhachev. Like you can watch the tape. You can look at all the finishes he has on his record. You can watch it last night. Like, that's not what he does. He goes in there and he's better everywhere than his opponents. And that is something that I wanted to talk about right now. Is Islam Makhachev the most well-rounded UFC fighter that we have ever seen in the UFC? I think he is, man. We've now seen him stand on the feet with multiple people that are extremely high level. There was people saying Dustin Poirier was the best boxer in the UFC. Islam Makhachev stands with him and trades with him and gets the better of him for that fight. And that was a long fight with a lot of exchanges, and he looked better than him on the feet. Now we go with Jack Della Maddalena, who the storyline is, and who I believe as well is one of the best boxers in the UFC. And then we have Islam get in there, and he outstrikes Jack Della Maddalena with ease, man. With relative ease he does. Like, it's not, honestly, Poirier had much more success. Islam did it easy, dude. He was really never in trouble in that fight, which is incredible when you're talking to a guy as explosive and as good as Jack Della Maddalena. So the question is Islam Makhachev the most skilled and most well-rounded UFC fighter of all time? I am going to say yes right now. The other person who came to mind in this conversation was really GSP. And if you go skill for skill, Islam is definitely better, but that is just because of the advancement of the sport, right? It's been, 10 years since GSP was even fighting. But if you take GSP from that time and compare him to the other fighters around him, he was by far the most skilled and most well-rounded fighter of his time, and maybe ever. But it's incredible, dude. And I really hope that people don't take this for granted. Like, again, with the comments and stuff, people are just, talking about another Dagestani ball hugger. Like, he didn't do anything, no damage. Like, bro, that was a masterclass performance. And to me, you cannot compare that performance to Khamzat Chimaev's performance. Very, very different. And we need to be careful with when we throw blanket statements and we try and say this is like that, because that was an apples and oranges fight. It was much, much different. You saw Islam control not only the stand-up exchanges and batter his legs, hit him with some good shots, but also every single time he went for a takedown, it was perfectly timed and he made it look really easy, and he controlled him the whole time. Like, this was really, to me, a completely different performance than Khamzat versus DDP. And I really don't like people saying that this was like a control, that's the only reason he won and stuff. Like, to me, that's very disingenuous, and it's just not the reality. It's not facts. Like, I think people are way too emotional whenever we talk about these fights, man. Like, I understand you're a fan. Maybe you have some money on it. Maybe you lost some card value because you went for JDM, but like, you can't let that cloud your judgment of what is actually happening in the world. Like, your eyes should tell you what is happening in the world, and you should be able to at least kind of put aside your biases and give some type of transparent analysis of what is actually happening in the universe. And so that's very important for many different things. But yeah, man, a very, very good fight. Oh, Islam wants to fight at the White House. If that happens, who's it going to be against? We got Topuria talking noise already, and that, if that happens, that is going to be a mega fight, man. I cannot wait for the buildup of that. Personally, I would heavily lean Islam in that, especially if it happens at 170. Ilya is going to look like an ant in there comparatively to Islam. Now, he does have nukes, and he's strong like an ant too, man. Ants can lift like 10 times their body weight. Ilya Topuria can punch, 10 times his body weight, just like an ant can. But you've got to imagine the size discrepancy, and if Islam even gets a hold of him at all, like, I don't see a world where he's not going to be able to take him down and hold him every single round and do basically whatever he wants with him. Also, the length is going to play a huge, huge factor. And we've talked about Islam Makhachev's stand-up. Now, while Ilya Topuria, is a great boxer and, very, very slick and finds a way to find people's chins with those nukes, like, when you're talking about that big of a length differential, I mean, it's going to be very, very big, as well as the power, as well as the IQ. Islam Makhachev, is probably one of the smartest fighters as well in the UFC, maybe of all time. He just does what he needs to do and goes where he needs to go, and he just has he has that feeling. You can just tell he knows when he needs to switch and when he needs to go to a different style and when he needs to try a different tactic, and he does it beautifully. But are we going to get Ilya Topuria versus Islam Makhachev at the White House card? We need to see Ilya do something. I mean, the dude, I love watching him fight, but outside of fighting, like, I don't know. I mean, no defenses. He's moving up. He's already talking about moving up again. Personally, I don't like that. That's the Conor route. I think it's kind of weird. But if we get Islam versus Ilya, I'm going to be hyped. That's what the people want. That's what I want. At the White House card, it would do crazy numbers. We'd have the first ever person going for triple champ status, which would be insane. I would love to see that. History being made is what it's all about, right? And especially about collecting. So that would really, really do cool things for the sport, create a lot of buzz, and it would be a superstar matchup. Two guys in their prime, absolute monsters. Will we see it? But I do think we need to see Ilya, fight another title fight at lightweight at 155. At least I hope so before this happens. If not, he's going to be on the shelf for quite a bit until that White House card. But yeah, man, great night of fights. Again, I wanted to do a live and talk with you guys, but a little bit busy today, this Sunday, so not going to happen. But hopefully I can get this video out soon. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, man, appreciate all of the support. And I will see you guys on the next video.